Sometimes a little chanting, a little singing take you closer to God than all the words in the world. You sing with your soul. Our subject this evening, as usual, Yoga Explained. Last time we talked about the feeling, increasing your ability to feel the presence of God. That's one of the ways. Sing that old hymn to spirit, Ramananda. You sing it with feeling, it increases your ability to feel the presence of God. And the holy vibration in the great word is God's presence as light and love, and the great cosmic sound, the great comforter of which Jesus spoke. But the greatest thing in that great word, the holy vibration, is God's presence as love. Feeling. Wonderful to see the light at the Christ Center. It's great inspiration to hear the cosmic sound. That is the greatest solace and security to hear in the sound, or feel in the sound, God's love. God is love. That's the feeling aspect of the word. So if we can do anything to increase our sensibility of receiving a feeling of God's love in the holy vibration, we should do it. Yoga will help you do it. Because yoga takes you into the presence of God. You will know you are in His presence by the cosmic sound, the light, and especially feeling of God's love. There's nothing will ever take the place of that, because that's God Himself. The most intimate fact. Some call it Divine Mother. There's one God, and in Him are all aspects. We'll come to that in our lesson tonight. God is. God alone is. And so, in your meditations in the silence within, as you hear the cosmic sound, change the hearing. Do not exactly change it. Supersede it by God's love. Then you have the whole aspect of the cosmic sound. The light is there too, but the feeling is the greatest thing. In your meditation, try quickly to feel the heart's natural love bubbling up within you. That's the gift of God. He has all things, but not that, because He gave us that. He wants that back. And if you can just somehow coax Him to come in and take His place in your heart, when you have removed all the dross and taken out all the undesirable tendencies and those things of the heart, and can entice Him to come in, there's nothing like the love of Him. And so, just to review a little bit about the feeling, I'm going to read you two little paragraphs, one from Brother Lawrence and one from our own Master. And in these two paragraphs you will find very much about sensitizing your heart to receive in its fullness God's love. Brother Lawrence says, I know that for the right practice of the presence of God, the heart must be empty of all other things. Master said it in this way, the heart must be pure gold, no dross can remain. Brother Lawrence says, as I have quoted to you. This is so because God will possess the heart alone. There cannot be any animosity, no resentment, nothing of this worldly consciousness. It's so difficult to attain that state. But when the grace of God comes, after we get into the presence of God, then it is attainable. He cannot act, says Brother Lawrence there, unless it be left vacant to Him. Now you see why sometimes you don't succeed in your meditations for the love of the infinite. There are so many things left over there. By living so long through so many incarnations in worldly living. But it can be done, because we're made in the image of God, and we have the ability to manifest divinity, and that's manifesting divinity, expressing the infinite love of God. Then he goes on to say, and this is so sweet, there is not a kind of life more sweet than that of a continual conversation with God. But, he says, and this is most well, but do not seek it for that reason, but from the principle of love, because he would have us do so. He's nothing else worth the life except only God's love. That's the requirement. God alone is all the saints say. Our Master has this to say. He said it in 1951. And this will point out to you why the heart's natural love should be stimulated through the practice of self-realization fellowship yoga. Master has this to say. I want you to listen carefully. Each of you who has given me that greatest of gifts, your friendship, is forever enshrined in my memory. Each one of you, do not forget that. To you also I have given from my heart my friendship and love which God has given me. What a wonderful thing we have. But if there's any meanness in the heart that makes you think it's for you alone, or more of it's for you than someone else, it will not be there. So the Master said. If you have, each of you who has given me that greatest of gifts, the friendship and love, is forever enshrined in my memory. Why do we worry? We take our Master to be the voice of the infinite. Why do we worry? Then, as we often pray here in these meetings for that hearts of men be awakened through the love of the infinite, that peace be with us, he goes on to say, it is this spirit of friendship and love which alone can dissolve all differences of men and bring about real unity and brotherhood under the one fatherhood of God. Let each of us live in such a way. Let each of us live in such a way. It's up to us. Let each of us live in such a way that we can say we have added some fuel of friendship to the light-giving flame of universal understanding. That will change the hearts of men. If each one of us contributes a little more of God's love which is in us. Now, going on with our yoga explained, tonight is yoga and religion. Yoga and religion. Some would say, my, yoga and religion. How do they dare to associate yoga with religion? What does religion mean? Well, again, it means to bind the soul with the supernatural. Yoga means what? Union. To yoke together, to yoke the soul to God. There's not much difference except ordinary Orthodox religion is the outward form made up of beliefs and creeds and whatnot, customs and ideas. But the real scientific religion is made up of communion with God. How? Through the science of yoga. Yoga means union. And so understand the difference. One is indirect, and the other is direct, right to God, through communing with Him. The difference between them is yoga. And so dogmatic religion is the first, which we will just say a word or two about. The Master says you'll get there after incarnation. Well, we've been waiting long enough. He calls it the bullock cart way to heaven or to God. People do assimilate some devotion when they go to church, even in Orthodox religion. They assimilate some good, but it takes a long, long time. But if you practice your yoga with full faith in God and a determination to know and be with Him, you will see how soon your old Orthodox religion changes into the real, tangible religion which binds you to God. Those who try it really will find it so and have found it so. To all who have not tried it, try it, give it a good try out, and then you can judge. Otherwise, you're just following a belief. Belief must be changed into faith. Belief means a doubt. But with faith, there's no doubt. True religion, or communion with God, there's no doubt. You know you're in the presence of God. And so people go to church for every reason except for God. They go there for fear. They go there because so-and-so goes there. They're a nice family, they're nice children, nice parents. They go to the church so they go. And some go for political reasons. We used to have a church in Somerville where I had my office, and it was called the Political Church of Somerville. It wasn't a Methodist church, which I joined. It was a Baptist church. Imagine a Baptist church. A political church. Why? Because all the politicians went there. If you wanted to be elected mayor or alderman or whatnot, you went to that church. If you didn't have much of a chance. That's why people sometimes go to church. Other times because they like the minister. He gives nice, polished, and slick, and attract people, slick as a whistle. But without the personal experience through realization. That doesn't give lasting spiritual help. But people go for that reason. And some go just because they think it's the thing to do. But the real devotee goes because he goes to the church which gives him the scientific way to commune with God, to get into God's presence. Then, in His presence, he knows he's closer to God, and he finds his soul begins to be satisfied. It will not be satisfied in Orthodox religion, outward form of religion. But as you turn inward, the universality of religion, which is the presence of God, not just God in an idea, but in reality, as you turn in toward that universality, you begin to feel that you're getting somewhere into the presence of God. Yoga will take you into the presence of God, into the holy vibration, the great cosmic sound of the Om, the Word. And that is God, for it says so in St. John. God was, in the beginning was the Word, God was that Word. Yoga will take you into the presence of God as the cosmic sound of Om, as the great light at the Christ Center, and as His all-pervading love and feeling. Yoga will do that. And if you follow that, as we always say, with full surrender to God, He won't come until there's full surrender. The heart has to be empty. And you cannot fully surrender until you empty the heart of all dross, then He can get in. He doesn't come under any other conditions but that. So yoga is necessary, especially to get into the presence of God. And so, these people who go to church for the reasons which I have given, they'll reach God in time. But it'll take a long, long time. Much longer than those who commune directly with God through yoga. And so, the path of yoga, or the science of union with God, takes you to the universality of religion, which is not the outward form, but the underlying reality. And that underlying reality is God. How will we know it? By the bliss we feel, by the love we feel. Yoga will take you into that place where you can feel the bliss of God without question of a doubt. In other words, Real religion is that religion which gives you God communion, God contact, God communion. Now you see the difference. One is slow, it takes a long, long time. The other takes you into the presence of God. How will you know it? By the cosmic sound of Om which you hear, by the light which you see at the Christ Center, or throughout your vision. Greatest of all, by the bliss which you feel, which is not just ordinary pleasure or peace of mind. It's a positive thing. It is God's feeling itself. That's how God feels, because He is love. Irrespective of color, caste, or creed. Everybody, all those I have met since I first met the Master and tried to help a little bit in spreading his work, which I felt was necessary. Everyone, irrespective of color, race, or creed. If they get just in the silence with Him, they feel the same peace in Him. They see the same spiritual life. They hear the same booming of the cosmic sun. Now, yoga and religion, discussed in the light of realization and truth, is quite different. So remember, scientific religion or yoga takes you or gives you communion with God, and as you practice your yoga, you're taken out of the three vehicles which prevent you from knowing your oneness with God: the physical body, the astral or spiritual body, the body of energy, and finally, the causal body, or the body of finer thought and volition. That's what yoga will do. Then, as you supersede these three vehicles, which we'll take up next time, beginning next time, as you supersede those, there you are, the presence of God yourself. It's only because your soul is attached to these three vehicles that you feel yourself different from God. When you remove those three casings, then there you are, because God alone is. We made in His image, who rays of His great light and His love. We have to practice these things, know of our divinity. Now, I spoke a minute ago about the difference of an idea about God and the reality. There are many ideas of God, but they'll not satisfy you. But the reality of God's presence, as these great vibrations of His feeling, they will satisfy you, because they're concrete and definite. They're not just ideas, like somebody's going to leave you $1,000, a couple $1,000. That's an idea. But when you get that $1,000, is it some difference? We've all felt, well, I'm going to get some money now, somebody's going to leave me some money. That's all right to think about. But how much more it is when you get the money, and hold it, and feel it, and touch it, and use it. The same way with God. Same way exactly. Yoga will give you that second way. Now you feel God as something real and tangible, something to be desired very, very much. Love inexpressible. And so God, as something tangible and real, is the contact of the cosmic vibration of Om. But in that are many, many aspects of God. The Master says, Father, Mother, Friend, Beloved, God are in that cosmic sound of Om. Any aspect you want. Some people, one aspect appeals more to another. God gives us all of His aspects, and there are 9 of His aspects which we can contact and know God. You do not have to know God through any particular aspect, because He seems to have everything for everybody. And these different aspects are the 9 cosmic aspects of God: cosmic light, cosmic sound, cosmic joy, cosmic love, cosmic wisdom, cosmic calmness. What a calmness comes sometimes in the silence within, especially as a group meditates together, and by united hearts and minds we beckon God to come in and entice Him to come. What a silence comes. I know many of you felt it in our meditations and in other meditations, perhaps in your own alone. So that's one of the aspects of God, which is most wonderful. And of course, bliss. Bliss seems to be the most universal. Our Master said, God consciousness and bliss consciousness are the same. That's one of the cosmic aspects of God. And the last one which I have down, infinite awareness. Infinite awareness. That's how God is aware of all things. We get a little taste of it once in a while, where you spread out all over. That's one of the cosmic aspects of God. So there's no excuse. Some are so constituted that they perhaps will feel love more, some wisdom, some infinite awareness, some the light is all-pervading. The astral regions are visible. Castles of light. In my Father's house are many mansions. It makes no difference. In any of these aspects you will feel the overwhelming nearness of God, His great light, and His love, His feeling. So there's no excuse for it. And so we must merge in it. Whatever aspect comes, the tendency is to listen and forget it. Merge in it. Be one with it, because that's the presence of God. Just like that flower is the presence of God. If we cannot go beyond that into the feeling of God's love that manifests and expresses through that flower so that we can feel His all-pervading love, it's there. If you go into the soul, you'll feel it. And if you stop just with a vision of it, you will not feel it. So merge in it. Merge in it. As the Vedas say, he who understands Om knows God, or knows Brahman. Will think what's in the Om. Not just light, not just sound, not just love, but all these 9 things of which I've spoken. In short, the great intelligence of God is in that Om vibration. You cannot exhaust it. And the feeling is there. The will is there. The will is that which created all things, and the feeling is the love of God. And that's all we're made up of, those 2 things, will and feeling. Analyze yourself, close your eyes, what have you got? The will to look at the spiritual eye, and the feeling to feel God's love in it. So yoga is necessary and is helpful to those who want a little solace in this world of tribulation. So, we're all, I'm sure, thankful for self-realization. But to feel that calmness, in that calmness, presence of God. That's what yoga will do for you if you keep at it. Finally, as Master said, we'll all meet sometime in the great home of life, where there's no end to the consciousness, no end to the expanse of consciousness of feeling, no end because God is everlasting, all-pervading, all-loving, all-understanding. It's worth struggling for. And so a few references at this time, and next time we will begin to take up those 3 subtle encasements which are so difficult to get rid of. Even the first one's hard, the body. But the other 2 are also very difficult. But it can be done through yoga. So we have a few references. First from the Bible. 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, the 31st verse. St. Paul said, I protest by the rejoicing I have in Christ, I die daily. Christ is the bliss which St. Paul felt. I declare, by the bliss I feel, that I leave ordinary outward consciousness with its duality and its lack of fulfillment, uncertainties. I die daily to that, and I feel the bliss of Christ consciousness. Therefore, St. Paul and some of the other saints of Jesus' time, like St. John, Christ himself, Jesus himself practiced, no doubt, the yoga. If you read the scriptures, you will see in that, just like in this, I protest, which means declare, by the rejoicing I have, the bliss I feel. Christ, I die daily to this outward, useless consciousness in which we find ourselves. 1 Corinthians 15th chapter, the 31st verse. St. John, the 14th chapter. St. John, the 14th chapter, the 26th verse. We read as follows. Now Jesus was speaking of what the practice of yoga will give you and will give me. The holy vibration in which is God's love and his intelligence. And his guidance is there because Jesus called it the Comforter. It is attainable through the practice of yoga, not in idea, but in reality. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, in the holy vibration, he shall teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance, whatever I have said unto you. Why? Because in the Comforter, in the holy vibration, is the intelligence of God, all-pervading, all-knowing, all-understanding. We have discussed it a moment ago. Now, for Hindu philosophy, just a few words from Master's autobiography, which he quotes some passages from the Hindu philosophy to substantiate what we have been saying. Those of you who wish to look it up, page 245, there you read what Patanjali says. Patanjali speaks of God as the actual cosmic sound of Om heard in meditation. Why don't we get satisfaction? We hear the cosmic sound of Om because we do not merge in it. In that is God's omniscience. God is the actual cosmic sound of Om heard in meditation. Om is the creative word, sound of the vibratory motor. Even the yoga beginner soon inwardly hears the wondrous sound of Om. Practice your yoga. Those of you who have not started, start. When you hear the cosmic sound of Om and merge in it, you will know what Patanjali referred to. Receiving this blissful spiritual encouragement. People pat you on the back and you feel pretty good. But when you hear the cosmic sound of Om and God pats you a little bit, that's real spiritual encouragement. Because that's reality. Receiving this blissful spiritual encouragement, the devotee becomes assured that he is in actual touch with the divine realm. And also on the same page, page 13, the autobiography in one of the bottom notes, we read, speaking about the poet Tennyson. Tennyson said that by repeating his name, and in yoga you repeat the great name of God, which is the Om vibration. He said, a kind of waking trance, this for lack of a better word, I have frequently found had from boyhood, when I have been all alone. It is not a waking trance. Those of you who meditate and feel the calmness of God's presence is quite different from what that word implies. It is the stepping up of the mind's vibratory rate, so that instead of recording just a lower vibration of mental activity and thoughts, you record a higher vibration of God's presence as peace and bliss. That's what you do in meditation. You step up the vibration of your consciousness so that you can receive God's love and his light. Then he goes on to say, in this state, individuality itself seemed to dissolve and fade away into the boundless being. If you practice your yoga, you will find your individuality disappears, but something much greater comes, not this little small bubble of ego, but the great omnipresent God begins to come in upon you. And so he says that. And this, not a confused state, but the clearest, the surest of the surest, utterly beyond words, where death was an almost laughable impossibility. There is no death in God's consciousness, in his bliss. A loss of personality, if so it were, seeming no extinction, but the only true life. It is no nebulous ecstasy, but a state of transcendental wonder associated with the absolute clearness of mind. There's no hypnosis, no self-hypnosis. But when God's consciousness comes in, you see clearly all facets of life and your own self as a part of him. That's what yoga will do. From the Bhagavad Gita, perhaps the great Krishna, Babaji speaking as Krishna said, he hit the nail on the head when he said, a little of this scientific religion will save one from dire suffering. A little of the practice of yoga, not just the yoga of body, but the yoga of salvation, wherein you unite yourself with the presence of God. That will save us from dire suffering. Next time we go on with our yoga explained, and I'm sure you all receive and feel the presence of God, great inspiration, because God is always with those who sincerely try to find him through the wonderful channels which he has given us.